Doc Loves the Kids, a local Kitsap County nonprofit organization established in 2015, whose mission is to provide activities, programs, and community support for at-risk youth.
They put the you in community.
Doc Loves the Kids.
Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy,
where we give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Hey, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to catch us on our other shows, Plays and Parlays, UFC with LT, Civil Discourse, and The Friday Fix. Hola, Senor Wesley. Welcome to the new America.
Hey, we tend to say that every time, but it's really not a new America anymore, bro. This is the norm. Like you've been saying for quite a while, this is the new normal. There's no more kind of going back to what we thought was America. I'm starting to believe that, man. I'm starting to believe your jargon that you've been saying for quite some time about America is no longer what it used to be. We have a person in office right now who believes he is king, acting as if he is king, and he has a bunch of people who are like willing to bend over and kiss the boots, pretty much. Yep. Lick the boots, I guess I should say. So, I mean, we're there now, man.
We sure are. We sure are. And like everything that's going on right now, people not getting paid. I don't know if you've been seeing that TSA lines are off the chain because, people can't get to work. They ain't got no gas.
Yep. It's factual, bro. I mean, at this point in time, the TSA lines, I saw something on TSA lines where it was like the people were just like letting people through the line, which I'm not sure if it's true or not because, you're going to see this the internet. What are we going to see on the internet? All kinds of stuff that may or may not be real. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Are you going to work for free for months without knowing if you're going to get paid? You got the person who's at the top of the ticket. I don't even like to call him the resident because he's not really the resident to me. However, at the person who's at the top of the ticket telling you, hey, I might not pay you. So I'm going to get up and go to work every day and work for free. He ain't never worked for free for nobody.
Every day. He golfing, building a ballroom. You see how they fire the people that were supposed to inspect it, right? There were 6 people. Yeah, they fired them. Like, you ain't expecting nothing. Like, I got this. So, the corruption in this, it was not even corruption anymore. This is the new norm.
It's blatant. It's
not even blatant, bro. It's not. You can't even look at the corrupt. It's not corruption. If you can't stop it and they're doing it, it's the new norm.
Absolutely, man.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Absolutely, man. We've gotten to a point like where we need to like either stick together and understand this is what it is, and we got to fight against it, or we're going to sit here and we're going to take it. But I'll sit around, I talk to people, and it makes me really, what messes me up the most is that you got guys here. I've had a person sit here and tell me today, I defended this country. You can't say I don't care about people, blah, 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 blah. I had to break it down. I'm like, hey, you know what? Did you get paid for that? He's like, yeah, but I volunteer. I said, well, people generally volunteer to workplace. Anywhere they go work, they volunteer. They're not forced to work there. They volunteered their time to go. So that's just is what it is. I appreciate your service. However, but you're how you feel now is not for the people. I'm sorry. Whether you chose to go and fight for the people, at one point in time, you did the right thing. Right now, I don't. It might be a little bit different. That's how I look at it. But let's move on to what's really pressing in the world today. We got 42 million people right now facing hunger because the government will not release funds that are already allocated for this. Judge questions the Trump administration's plan to suspend SNAP benefits for millions. A federal judge in Boston on Thursday seemed skeptical of the Trump administration's argument that SNAP benefits could be suspended for the first time in the food aid program's history because of the government shutdown. During a hearing over a request by 25 Democratic-led states to keep the funding flowing, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani told lawyers if the government can't afford to cover the costs, there's a process to follow rather than simply suspending all benefits. The steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits, said Talwani, who was nominated by the court by then President Barack Obama. Talwani said she expects to issue a ruling later Thursday and seemed to be leaning towards requiring the government to put billions of dollars in emergency funds towards SNAP. That, she said, is her interpretation of what Congress intended when an agency's funding runs out. If you don't have any money, you tighten your belt, she said in court. You're not going to make everyone drop dead because it's a political game someplace. Talwani acknowledged that even ordering emergency funds to pay for SNAP might still be painful for some SNAP recipients because it could mean they get less money and that the money they do get could be delayed. We are dealing with a reality that absent a 100% win for you, the benefits are going to end on November 1st, she told the plaintiffs. The hearing came 2 days before the U.S. Department of Agriculture planned to freeze payments to the Supplement Nutrition Assistance Program because it said it can't continue to fund it due to the government shutdown. Let me slip this in here real quick. The cool part about it is that on the White House, on the White House's
website
SNAP page, yeah, they had a little section that says that even if the government goes into a shutdown, that SNAP will still be funded or is already funded for. You know what I mean? Already has funding for it set aside. So they're basically not taking the funding that's already there and giving it to the people. Just to me, it's like it's the let them eat cake moment of the century for us all. I put up a meme on my page basically saying, "Hey, I'm gonna make you starve, basically, or or unless you let me take away your health care."
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and this is what we're all fighting about. I got people who I believe are actually intelligent people on my page telling me that, oh, they want to give illegals health care. Just a bunch of lie. They do the same lie every single time, and you act like you fall for it, but you really don't. It's the fact of the matter is that you really believe your next door neighbor is not you anymore. That's what you really believe you are. You believe you're a part of a system that you're truly not a part of.
Well, I look at it like this. Anybody can look online if you actually want to do the research and realize that illegal immigrants aren't getting the food stamps. They're not going to get these food stamps, not these SNAP benefits, but they don't want to. They want to believe the lie. And the whole thing is, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and was like, look, they used the nuclear option to have 50 votes to give Trump 100 of his cabinet picks, right? They could do it right now to pass all this budget. But the reason they don't want to do it because they need Democrats to sign on to raise your health care. That's what this is about. Because if the Republicans do it and your health care triples, then they're going to be like, well, that's who you have to blame. That's why they're doing this. They have the money allocated to give these people SNAP benefits. And a lot of people that are on SNAP are working. They're called the working poor. And what I say to the working poor, if you don't get your SNAP benefits, you could be mad at Donald Trump and the government, right? But look at your employer. Look at your employer. They have enough money to give you so you don't have to be on SNAPs, but they don't. They pay you the minimum and then they get government subsidies. What that does is the government fills in those gaps of what they don't have to pay you with food stamps. They could pay you, they just keep pocketing the money. So like I said, the last episode we did, people need to do a general strike. And all the people sitting there laughing, people are making the laughing emojis and all this stuff. First of all, nobody likes you. You really don't have any friends. Your family don't like you. No one invites you to anything. That's why you're like that. And the other people
that brain power is small. Their brain power is very, very limited. When I get people to do laughing emoji on, not to cut you, now do the laughing emoji on my post, it's really because they understand they don't have an argument that they can defend. I don't want to argue with you. Can't. You don't have the brain power. You don't have the capacity to do so. That's just the truth. That's why you laugh.
You need to understand. We live in an evil society here in America. A lot of people are evil. They enjoy
misery, man. It's misery. It's not even that. It's miserable. Miserable people. Misery loves company. Let's not forget, these are miserable people. This is why they hold the viewpoints that they hold, because they're miserable people in real life. They're not happy with their lives. Most people who don't want for others what they would like for themselves. Not that you have to give it to them, because it sounds weird. Everyone tries to say, well, everyone wants something for free. I had to explain to a person there. I said, you know what, man? In all honesty, you understand that's your money, right? I said, every single one of us are recipients of government assistance. Everybody is. Everybody in America. One way or the other. He's like, no, I'm not. I don't get anything from the government. Yeah, you do. I said, what about those roads you drive down? What about those power lines? All the things that you have here, we have collectively paid for between all of us. That's part of life. That's what it is. And so when
someone gets food, look, if people like, are the people that abuse the system? Of course. There's people that abuse every system, right? But the thing is, these people won't realize it until their kids go to school
and are very minimal.
Yeah, and no, they're going to see it unless your kid goes to private school, right? Your kid goes to school with a lot of poor kids, right? And they're going to be sitting there not having nothing to eat, and there's not going to be no food. And then someone else pointed out it's going to take $9 billion out of the economy.
You know that for every dollar in food stamps, every dollar in SNAP benefits, It creates $1.86 in economic activity. That means it's a plus, it's a positive. And when we put money into the economy for food, it's a positive, not only just for them, for the farmers who make the food, for the people who help pick the food, for the people who help drive the trucks to take the food to where it needs to go, for the grocery store people who are in the grocery stores, the grocery store owners. It's a down the line effect that helps everyone. Corner stores, it helps everyone. Economic activity that helps, that adds a net positive. That's like a certain thing. They say like if we were to go and we were to help fix the problem with congestion on our roads, we would save ourselves $150 billion a year or something like that, because of just time wasted is how much money is being lost in just congestion. We don't do things that make sense. It doesn't. I mean, so for the people who live in those, because 25 states, right? They're all governors who are Democrats. But some of these states are like Kentucky are red states, but they have a Democratic governor. So that's why you'll see states like Kentucky, states like North Carolina are in this, because they have a Democratic governor. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the states, most of the states who need this the most, are not signed on to this lawsuit against the federal government that these Democratic states have signed, because it tells me that you're not willing to do what's best for your constituents, and that's a problem.
I think it's deeper than that, Wes. He's been taking resources from blue states and giving them to red states. If you look at it, the majority of blue states are already heading into recession. I get tired of people not realizing, like, the Civil War it's not going to be fought with gunpowder at first. It's what he's doing now. The blue states need to stop sending money to the federal government, because the federal government, all they're doing is taking your money and attacking you with it. Now they're now they're stopping, not giving it to you. If California, Oregon, New York, Washington Illinois just stop sending money to the federal government, they wouldn't have money to terrorize you. We could fund our own states. We don't really need them. All the reason they're taking your money and being cruel to you. And so what I say to everybody, first of all, look at your employer. I get mad when people are like, why do you go to a restaurant and you don't tip? Why is it always on me as a consumer that has to tip, and not on the employer that should pay a fair amount of a fair wage? Why is it on me? Dead ass. Why is it always on me? Why do I got to be the bad guy?
I'm not saying that tipping's is not a form of a gratuity, a form of showing your gratitude for what you're doing. I understand, but I do understand the bigger point that you're making is the fact that you guys are not paying a fair wage. So therefore you leave it up to me to pay. You've already charging me whatever you're charging me for this food. It's already jacked up. Prices, food's already high. And then you want to charge me just because a person came out and brought me my food. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying, but the bigger point is there's points on both sides. Of course you should tip, but they should be paying up.
And like I'm saying now, to the working poor, a lot of people are pointing out, like, the majority of people on food stamps are seniors, disabled people, and children. That just shows you what this administration cares about. Because they made sure all the rich got tax. Hey, remember, folks, all the rich people got tax breaks. Israel's still getting their money during the shutdown. They guaranteed that. Yeah. Argentina got their $40 billion.
Got their money. Got their $40 billion.
Right? But they don't want to allocate money to you. That's already there. That should tell you everything about the people that are governing you right now. Tell you about them. And then also you need to look at your employer. Because if you work for Walmart, you work for Kroger, you work for a Safeway or an Albertsons, they have the money to pay you. They just don't want to. And now they're either going to now they're worried about people coming. They're probably looking at you like, hey, you got to make sure nobody's coming in here stealing. And you're like, you don't pay me enough to watch people not steal from here.
And at the end of the day, man, like you look at a place like France, they became the first country that, that they're saying the first country to mandate that all their grocery stores give away their expired food to like food banks and places like that. They became the first country to mandate that they're saying. That's a huge first step. I don't see why we don't do that. We're so behind and we lag and everything. We are so much against ourselves. It's crazy. Everyone loves to pretend to be so well off. Everyone does. Everyone loves to pretend it. I don't care, but people, they let them go ahead and do this. The people are on the verge of losing everything, but they want to pretend to act like they're still rubbing elbows with the millionaire next door, and you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're the people who are probably using SNAP benefits. Let's stop acting like you're not the person who's probably really needing an extra pair or whatever it is. Let's stop acting like,
acting like you don't own a business that relies on SNAP benefits. You don't own a business that relies on people coming in there that have to spend stuff there or that live in poverty areas. Look, it's not just, you can act like, okay, you don't want to feed 42 million people. Fine, that's on you. But now you're taking $9 billion out of the economy. You don't want to pay these federal workers because you want to take away people's health care. Now you're taking money away out of your community's hands.
And that's even in 1 month.
And our 1 month. That's 1 month. Our governor, our mayor came out. He was like, we had a contingency plan for this since it happened last time. He was like, yo, we ready for you. And the banks like Navy Federal, they're giving people loans. They're doing the right thing. They're like, don't worry, don't be overthrown.
Isn't it strange, man, that this is what it's turned to after we've all had to, they take our money out of our checks for their tax. They want that money immediately when it's their money. But when we were saying, hey, make sure you keep funding what needs to be funded. And their favorite line is, oh, well, this is, everyone wants something for free. And it's just, to me, I'm like, so you're telling me you'd rather the money that they take out of your money for taxes go to what they want it to go to, rather than going to helping the people who are yourself and people around us to help grow a better society? You'd rather that? Me personally, I'd always rather the money that you get from me, I'd rather always go towards building a better society, because that means down the line, it may not help me, but it's going to help other people around me. And that helps create a better, safer United States for us all. People don't realize that. We don't see that.
To understand, you can look and try to act like black folks are the face of welfare, but like I was telling Wes before we started, welfare wasn't created for black folks. They wouldn't. Name something they created here in America for black people to flourish. Welfare wasn't. Section 8 was not. We're just allowed to use it.